So, Silver's morning, how you doing?
I'm good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. So you were one of the 131 heroes who decided to head all the way up to the Fylde coast on a chilly Saturday in February, and you were rewarded with what sounded on from the reports like yeah, a fairly dull game. But just before we come to the match itself, I want to know what were your thoughts when you saw the lineup, because certainly in the WhatsApp groups I'm in, seeing Glennon and Cam Evans at wing back and
Yeah,
Spellman in the lineup, I think a few of us thought, oh God, is this going to be a long afternoon?
yeah. Pretty much similar thoughts on that, Ed. But to be fair, obviously we're racked with injuries, so we gotta support the boys and try and get the best from them. It's difficult at the minute, obviously with the predicament we find ourselves in. Obviously, a battle to stay in the league and a battle to get boys fit on the pitch. I think we the injury list is seems to be growing, but maybe a little bit of respite yesterday with seeing Smith on the bench and coming on. So yeah, just take it
Yeah.
for that. To be fair,
Yeah, and I guess, like you say, when you've got games coming thick and fast, we've got game Tuesday night, another big game on Saturday as well. You've got to kind of manage those minutes. And in terms of the game, so I was just reading now the match report by the venerable Mark Vickery, a friend of the pod, and he summed it up by saying that County invited pressure in the first half, but they lacked fluency and a cutting edge. How does that tally with what you saw?
yeah, pretty much what I thought. I mean, early early in the game, the guys we were sat with, we kind of said, I don't see us scoring, or you couldn't see it. It was always good for me. It would have been probably a smash and grab type of performance, if that makes sense. I thought we were resolute. We looked organised, but like you said, we lacked that fluidity and there was obviously the lack of cutting edge. I didn't see us scoring in open play, even though I thought on times, we were comfortable and managed the ball, but I mean. Yeah, we pretty much said, it'll be a smash and grab or it'll be a 0-0. That was our thoughts on the day, and it turned out to be just that.
Yeah, I mean that lack of cutting edge up front is just the story of the season. So you're relying on the defence to not have any of their collective moments of disorganization, and then yeah, hoping for something up top.
Up,
I mean,
up top.
yeah, it sounded as though we were under the cosh, particularly in the first half. I think Fleetwood was it the first half when they hit the bar and the lad they got on the right hand side, Ennis, was giving Glennon a hard time, but we
Yeah,
we stuck
yeah,
to our guns and kept them out.
yeah. We did. To be fair, I think on the day, the performance, obviously at the battling point, I think the pitch helped us. Um, Believe it or not, Ed, it wasn't the best pitch. We were sat close to it, and the boys were sort of, as they were running, the pitch was churning up literally under them. So I think that possibly played into our hands a little bit. It stopped them popping it around. But again, I thought we stuck to our guns. Credit to a couple. I mean, the keeper's had a torrid time the last couple of weeks, but I thought he stood up yesterday, and he was tidy. And I thought Cam Evans,
Yeah.
that type of game, that type of pitch, I think Cam looks like the type of player that is up for a battle. He might not be sort of the biggest, but he got stuck in and stuck to his task. And I thought those two boys were probably my personal standouts yesterday.
That's really interesting because I mean Cam Evans comes in for criticism, including from me. But like you say, these are the players we've got now till the end of the season, and we've got to get behind them and give them the chance to have that little bit of redemption and show what they can do and what character they've got. And for his faults, Cam Evans, he's versatile. He will get stuck in, and yeah, it's good to see him kind of putting in a decent performance. I mean, the other thing that I think is interesting that you said is, a bad pitch probably helped us. That was true at Salford as well, and I just
Yeah.
wonder whether, if you look at the last few weeks, we played really well at Salford and got a great win on a terrible pitch. We dug in at Fleetwood on a terrible pitch and got a point. Do we need to kind of send a few tractors into Rodney Parade before Tuesday night against Tranmere?
Oh, mate, yeah, you can imagine it, couldn't you? bring back the Flynn pitch. Let's go and chuck a load of sand on it, perhaps.
Yeah, it's a funny one that on paper we should be with the sort of coaches that we've appointed and the ethos that we should be trying to have apparently under Hugh Jenkins. You know, you'd imagine we would play better on lovely, nice snooker table like pitches, but yeah, the performances have been better when we've been on I mean, the picture I saw yesterday, yesterday, Fleetwood's pitch, it looked like Barry Beach. It was more
Yeah,
sand
it's
than grass.
incredible. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, there was sort of, it looked like moles, hills everywhere, and Bobby Camwood was trying to, kick it and tamp it down, and yeah, it was plainly, I mean, awful. But I think, like we said, that it helped us. It definitely helped us.
Yeah.
So let's have a few more of those pitches, I think, is it?
Yeah. The other thing that stuck out to me from Mark Vickery's match review was looking ahead to that big game Tuesday night against Tranmere. Mark was arguing that we need to have better balance against Tranmere, that a lot of the positive play that County had yesterday was down the left-hand side, but we weren't able to match it down our right, which I'm guessing is where Spellman was playing. So I mean, again, do you agree with that? And if so, what do you do? How do you bring in that balance on the right? Who do you bring in?
Well, for me, Ed, the balance will always be what you have available. It's all good and well, we all probably in our heads have our ideal 11 that we'd like to get out on the pitch, but unfortunately, injuries are dealing us a tough hand, or the manager a tough hand. Yeah, you'd like the balance down the both flanks would be ideal. I mean, do you ask Bobby to play out on the right? Has he got a little bit more end product? I just think that we're lacking that end product, or the final ball in the box for myself, Ed. I'd like to see us, we tend to manoeuvre the ball into a nice area, and then we have a habit of turning back out, and we got this thing of we have to keep possession. Whereas, I mean, goals are scored in the box for me. I'd like to see us, get the balls in the box more frequently than we do. For the likes of, obviously, CBR comes in for a fair bit of flack for his goal return, but yesterday, he's another that put a shift in, to
Yeah,
the point he was limping around. So, yeah, I'd like to see, like you say, obviously we'd like to see better balance and better fluidity, but that'll just come down to team selection and who's available, Ed, to be honest.
yeah. No, I agree, and I think completely agree with you that getting balls into the box has to be the priority, especially when you've got the likes of James Kroll, who is potentially that fox in the box. But
Yeah,
there's no point having a fox in the box who doesn't see the ball. So
no,
we've got to
service
start playing to
limited
the
one.
strengths of what's there.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think I personally, I would prefer CBR and the Kroll as a partnership. I think
Mhm.
they got a bit. There's a bit about them, I think, and I'd like to see, obviously, the highlights I've watched of Kroll. He's on the move in the box. Whereas at the minute we kind of playing it up to the centre forward at his feet. Whereas I think if we can get the ball into the box, find the space, I think the boys then will be able to get on the end of stuff and find the space to create the chances. But at the minute, it's, yesterday we created very little, Ed, to be honest. But that said, beforehand, going into a big week, we had to come away with something. So I think that's given us the platform to step into Tuesday and try and sort of take it up a notch again there. And, I think we all know that what we got to do. I mean, I've stopped looking at the table and other people's results. Is focus on what we can do and what we have to do, and we all know what we got to do. And we got to get there and give the lads the best and the biggest support we can, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Which kind of neatly brings me on to my final question for you then. You've seen a lot more games than I have this season because you love it, don't you? You're up and down the country on the coach most weekends.
Oh, it's
Well,
good fun.
what do you think? Are we staying up or are we now in that kind of doom loop?
Well, the $1 million question. I'm glass half full, Ed. So I still think that we've got enough in the squad. Are they going to be fit enough? Are we going to get them out on the pitch? I'm not doom and gloom by any stretch of the imagination. I think probably realistically, we know we got to win games. Let's not look further than Tranmere,
Yeah.
um, and take it sort of game by game. I think we can do it. I think with the back end of of the fans. And I spoke yesterday after the game to the gaffer, and he couldn't speak highly enough about the support. And that all through the season, Ed, you know, I think Blakey mentioned it in commentary about the support. You know, sat at the bottom of the league, taking X, Y, and Z away, like you say, up and down the country. Fans have been first class and stuck with the boys. So again, one final push off everyone. If we can come together, I think personally, Ed, I think we stay up. I mean, loads of people have obviously questioned my sanity and my ideas around it. I think if we can just be a little bit more direct, I'm not saying, you know, we kick and rush, or, you know, sometimes that middle of the pitch we struggle. If it's an issue, take it out of the equation by putting the ball forward a little bit quicker and see where we're at. But yeah, game by game, everyone's a cup final. I'm gonna go and say we're gonna stay up, Ed.
There we go. Well, that's a nice rallying call with which to end. Silvers, as always, thank you for your time, and doubtless see you again on the terrace very soon.
Thank you very much, mate. Have a good afternoon.